Here's how I completed the quiz. First, I reviewed the different tests that needed to be passed. Then, I opened up Developer Tools to start making changes. To make the code easier to read, I zoomed in by pressing the Command and plus keys. If we're on a Windows or Linux machine, I could have used Control and the plus keys instead. Next, I moved the Developer Tools to the right side of the screen so I could see the Slack card on one side and the tools on the other. If I wanted, I can even pop out Developer Tools into its own window. For example, if I wanted to put the Developer Tools on another screen while I focused on the main screen. Needless to say, there's a lot of flexibility on where you can put Developer Tools. Next, I just worked from top to bottom on each test. The first 3 tests involved adding style to the buttons, so to quickly jump to the button styles, I inspected one of the buttons on the card. Now at first, I wanted to add styles directly to the element itself, but notice the note at the bottom of the page. The buttons have the class Profile Action. This was telling me to instead use the Profile Action class to add additional styles. If I had decided to add the styles directly to the element instead, the test wouldn't pass, which makes sense because the styles would only be getting added to one of the buttons and not all of them. To complete the first 3 tests, I added a border radius of 4 pixels, changed the mouse cursor to a pointer, and changed the font to use Open Sans. To figure out the buttons needed the font Open Sans, I just investigated one of the other elements on the page. Notice how when I scroll down the Styles section, I can see all the styles being applied to the element. At the bottom, I could tell the rest of the page inherited the font Open Sans from the statement right here. The next test involved adding a background image to top. So I searched through the HTML to find the div using the class top and added the background image there. Pay attention to how I passed the placeholder image. Because the value is an image, I passed a URL or path to the image by specifying URL and then the path to the image. Finally, to pass the last test, I located the typo in the HTML and changed it.